You ain't gonna believe this, man. I'm sitting here today watching these guys, um, Church of Christ guys, man. They use the transliterations and these crazy translations that add to the Bible and take away from it. Okay, and they know that at the end of Revelations it says if you add to this, you're going to get the plagues added to you. If you take away, you get your part taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life. And I'm fixing to tell you what the Church of Christ is adding to and taking away from the Bible. Okay, these guys add to James 5:13. Is any merry? Let him sing. And the word is Psalms, and it's a word that's even spelled like Psalms. P.S. Okay, Salo, and it means to twuck or to playing or to even play psalms. It says in the definition Psalms of David. Okay, not songs, but Psalms of David, where you had to commanded to play on an instrument. Okay, in the Old Testament, they substitute the word psalms for praises. They put there, and when I heard these guys, I was like, wait a minute, praises, sing praises. That's just any old kind of thing they're trying to spin. They're trying to put on it, but it's sing psalms in the original language, and they also take out this word where it says sing voice of the songs. It says on a harp, and it's a commandment in Psalms 98:5. They take out the voice of a psalms. They don't want you to think you have to sing David's psalms, and so they even take that out of the Old Testament. So they omit and they take that out, and they're adding the word praises in there instead of the word psalms, and they're taking this away from David, who is of the lineage of Jesus Christ. Jesus is the root of David. It talks about, and of his lineage through Mary, and so this David had slayed his 10,000s, and David killed the giant Goliath, and so David was a very prominent person, and he was a king. He even made it to a king, and he wrote these on a harp. It's in the Psalms that he did that. It's commanded that you sing with that you, man. These guys trip me out, man. So that's just a couple of points where they add to and they take away, and then look at this. Their transliteration did to 1 Corinthians 4:6. They says learning not to think of men above that which is written. Okay, now this means hooper above. The word hooper is exceeding, superior to, exceedingly abundant, abounding. We're supposed to abound in love, and the grace of God abounds. And so this word hooper is a serious far beyond at the top. In fact, if you want to use it as the word beyond, like these guys use it, it has to be chiefly, it has to be the highest, beyond. And the way they read this, not to go, and they add the word go to the text instead of think, because the think word is free eho, and it is to exercise the mind, entertain the sentiment or opinion implied by mental. So it's a thinking word, and they just put go there, and that's a different meaning and everything. So they add to the scriptures go, and then they take away above, that is hooper above, and they put a beyond that is just to variate, because this what we're talking about in instrument or a cappella is a variation. It's not a chiefly superior, exceedingly abundant hooper above and beyond with hooper. It's not that. This is not a hooper situation. This is a variation of how to sing. And so these guys trip me out, man. They're adding to the Bible, and even in Revelations 5, they trip me out. Their translation adds the word incense to try to poke fun at us. Anyway, 2 John This is a trip one. This one tripped me out. I was watching the Church of Christ, and they add a word here. Aaron Gallagher, he's the one guilty of it. Um, Adding to the Bible, you get the plagues added to you, and your name taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life when you take away the word transgression. So 2 John 9, they take away the word transgression, which means to transgress against the law or go contrary to the law. And the law in the text is verse 5 and 6, the new commandment, which is to love one another. You have heard from the beginning, and the commandment you have heard from the beginning, that you should walk therein. This is Jesus' commandment that you are abiding in. That talks about abiding in his gospel, to love one another, the new commandment. Okay, that's what the context of this is. They never read that context. I know, because Garland Elkins is guilty of it. He adds to the Bible and takes away here too, because he's using transliterations. He used the word transgress, but he didn't read the gospel of Jesus there, the new commandment, to love one another. And so they add the word progressive there. And progressive is to improve to completion. And so that even goes against the righteousness clause that the Catholics have, to continue in righteousness of the saints. It makes it to where you can't continue in righteousness. And so I trip out, because I've been in another class where the guy said, let's take this study about angels creating things offline. And I was like, why do you want to challenge me? It says, let us make man in our image, and he made multiple men and women, and you can't deny it. And he said, let's take it offline, okay? We get offline, and it boils down to this verse that says God made things out of the unseen, which was his voice, that he spoke things into existence, and it was unseen, and it was that's how he commanded everything. And I'd already gone through all the commandments. I'd already gone through all the verses of the angels, how they create life and everything. And we get down to this, and his transliteration, where he adds to and takes away from the Bible, takes away the word unseen that's to be used there, and puts invisible, so that you think that God created things out of invisible stuff. And so he wouldn't study with me anymore. He said it's not complete, the study, and I had gone over every verse he had. I had even added verse that helped his theology to cover every point, and he said it wasn't a complete exegetical integrity. The study wasn't. He wasn't going to study anymore. And then he's since had offline studies with other people about stuff, and I don't think he settled anything with them either. So anyway, the churches aren't meeting anyway. So but this other one, the evangelicals, I was in their early service, and it really tripped me out, because he was reading along and he goes, skinned animals, about Adam and Eve, and I was like, oh no, that's not the original language, because I had already studied this, that can't be used in the original language. And he said, no, that is. And he was convinced that skinned is in the original language. And I found out through the Pentecostals that he was using the transliteration that takes the word skinned and adds it there. And they teach in the seminaries and in the theology schools and in the preaching schools that that's the preferred word for modern people. And so they actually tell them, no, this is the word. And they give them the transliteration to study from. And it will substitute that word there, and instead of skins. And so I did a whole YouTube on how Adam and Eve grew hair, and to debunk that. But that's a little bit about where they're adding to and taking away, just to teach faith-based things and to carve an image for God. And they carve a worthless image for you and a wrathful image for God. And they teach faith that is so you have to have so much faith to believe it, that no one could ever have that much faith in the deliverer who is telling this, because who could ever believe that God created nothing, just took invisible things, because this is not invisible in front of me. There is a lot of molecules and things and oxygen, and there's a lot of stuff here. And to say God took invisible and to add to it makes you have to have the faith that is no way you can have that much faith in the person that ever believed that, you know.